Thank you, Senator. State Delegate Jackson Miller.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me here today. Memorial Day is also a day of thanks, in a sense. Thanks to those that fought for our freedoms, for all that we have here. And I want to thank two gentlemen here, Senator Colgan and Mayor Waldron. They're two politicians that have served as mentors to me, whether they realize it or not, sometimes directly and sometimes just by being able to observe their actions. As well as one of my commanding officers, Lieutenant Nailin in the Prince William County Police Department. A pretty tough supervisor, the one that's always fair and always sets me straight on the straight road at work. But ladies and gentlemen, I also was honored to have served in the United States Army. And if it weren't for the United States Army, I wouldn't have a college education today. So there's so much thanks to our armed services and the people that serve us. And as a politician, I could make many promises. I can't always make those promises happen because an entire legislature has to agree on things. I've sponsored some legislation this year that made it through, luckily, that helped disabled veterans, service-disabled veterans, get small business contracts at the same level, on the state level, the same as they can as the federal level. But ladies and gentlemen, what I've seen from veterans is they really don't want or expect lots of things from politicians. But there is one thing that I think they do want, and it's one thing I can promise you, not as a politician, but as an American parent. I have a 7- and a 4-year-old boy running around in the stumps over there, both wearing their red, white, and blue. And the promise that I can make to you all is that they will grow up understanding what Memorial Day is. They will grow up because unfortunately, all too often these days, we find that Memorial Day is just another day to grill hamburgers, another day to not have to show up at work. And that's nice, and we appreciate that. But we always have to remember, for that's what Memorial Day is, we always have to remember the sacrifices that gave us the freedom and, quite honestly, the wealth of what we have here today. And so for all of you that have fought and been wounded, and for those that aren't here, that have given their lives for this nation, I thank you. And I promise you, as an American parent, that my sons will also always remember Memorial Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Now the Mayor City of Manassas, Virginia, Mayor Douglas Waldron.
Thank you very much. What a beautiful day it is today. Certainly it's been a beautiful weekend, and thank goodness. Since I met my wife a couple of decades ago, a little bit more, we have gone every Memorial Day weekend up to a graveyard in south central Pennsylvania, Huntington County in Mount Union, because her father was an Army private that served in the Philippines, and a very, very close family friend of theirs served and was gassed in World War I. And so we always go up every Memorial Day weekend to lay flowers at those graves. We did that Saturday. It's a beautiful day. And what I always look at certainly are the members of Rolling Thunder who are driving up and down Route 70 or 81. And you know, for many years, it's been sort of a nasty weekend, and I know that they still came. And as I saw them on Saturday, driving down towards Washington, it was a beautiful sunny day, and I thank the good Lord for the beautiful weather we've had, particularly for those members of Rolling Thunder and all their friends, and to go down to Washington. I am certainly honored, deeply honored, and I always like to say how humble I am because this is such an important event. I am not a veteran. I graduated from high school in 1974, and for all those who know their history, that was the winding down period of the Vietnam War. And my classmates did not join at that time. We did not go and join the military at that time. And yet I am certainly a product of the military. My father was Air Force, and as Commander Allman knows, my son is thinking of joining the Army and, in fact, made application. And so, you know, and my wife, again, is the product of the military. And certainly I'm the beneficiary of the sacrifices for freedom that all of you all and throughout this country and great world have made for us. This is the 4th straight year that I've been honored to represent the City Council and the citizens of the City of Manassas at this event. You know, I want to take just a moment to acknowledge your Commander Bill Ullman, who I believe this is his last time conducting this ceremony with me, certainly for these 4 years and all the years previously. This post has been very fortunate to have Commander Ullman. We can tell how much he cares every time he speaks about veterans. So I would just like to thank him for getting to know him for the last 4 years. You all have been very, very fortunate to have him as your post commander. I count this event as one of the top 3 responsibilities that I cherish as mayor. And this, I believe, as has already been said, it's so important about the Remembrance Day. I think this is my highest responsibility, is to represent the City Council and the citizens of the City of Manassas at Memorial Day and on Veterans Day. And I've always arranged my schedule not to miss either of these 2 days over the last 4 years. The other 2, I certainly want to acknowledge, are speaking to the Waldron graduates on their graduation day, and then any groundbreaking or ribbon-cutting ceremony that I have in the City of Manassas. I think these three are the most important events that I can participate in and help with. But this, I believe, is the most important because we, again, are talking about sacrificing for freedom. And as Senator Colgan and Delegate Miller have already said, we truly, there's so many sacrifices that have been made, particularly in Manassas and Virginia and throughout this whole country. I think most of you all know that I decided not to seek re-election again, and we had an election in Manassas this past May. The council will remain largely unchanged. Our vice mayor, Hal Parrish, who has been elected mayor for the next 4 years. And the gentleman that is taking his seat on the council, Mr. Parrish's seat on the council, is Mark Wolf. He was elected to the city council, and as I know you all know, many of you know that Mark lost his son Colin in Iraq, and Colin about 3 years ago, and Colin 2 years ago, I guess 2.5 years ago. Colin is buried in Arlington National Cemetery. So the citizens of the City of Manassas will have a parent who suffered a grave loss, his only son. He does have a daughter, but he will forever, I know, think of the veterans and all those who served on Memorial Day. You know, I just want to say again, finally, that it's usually with such heavy hearts that we conduct these ceremonies, but they are important. They are important that we never forget the cost of freedom. Most of the things that we do as politicians and as civil servants are mundane things. We make sure the potholes are filled, that people aren't speeding, enforce the laws as they are promulgated by our legislatures, those kind of things. But ultimately what we're doing is protecting our way of life, the United States of America's way of life. And that's a constant challenge. And to do that, we obviously need to defend freedom. And the veterans, all of you all who have served, all the wives, all the children, all those who have invested heavily with their emotion and their love and their families, are defending freedom. And we have to support that. And so certainly by taking this moment on a beautiful day together, we can provide that deep